how does what you are writing about relate to what you lived as a child of the 70s, right? 70s and 80s in Chile.
I grew up during a dictatorship in my country, while outside there was a situation of war. So when I started doing theater and writing, that defined my work.
Yeah.
When I saw this war in Syria and I experienced it, by just watching these videos, I thought I had a chance to sort of step out of my country, to engage a different conflict, talking about the war in Syria itself, but also about my own personal history through that war. So my way in was to make a play about the impossibility of making a play. The play is about the conflict in Syria, but the play is also about theater making, about how theater can deal with these impossible issues and what are the limits of theater, and as I keep saying over and over again, about the ethics of theater. What can theater do, and how theater has an obligation to push as far as it can in order to reach what it's meant to reach.
I'm curious whether you think that the opportunity to write the play in Germany freed you in some way. Would it have been different had you written it in Chile?
That region in which Düsseldorf is, the northern Westphalia, also received a lot of refugees. So when I asked the theater to support me in doing this play, I asked them to put me in touch with Syrian refugees. And I always understood that I needed to give a voice of a person from Syria on stage. I wouldn't do this play without the Syrian voice in it.
You have had to answer, I'm sure, people who question whether it was your story to tell.
Yes.
And where do you get the confidence that it was? I mean, how do you respond to that, or do you respond to that?
When I talk about the war in Syria, I am not exploiting the war in Syria. I'm not exploiting Syrians in order to tell my story, and I'm not silencing and I'm not replacing Syrian voices. I'm actually trying to give the scandal of war a new platform. You
talked about war, and you talked about what you know, or even the scandal of war and how you know that. But then there's also love. Mm-hmm. And it seems like this is a play that knows something about love.
Every time I talk with a Syrian, they talk about the culture in very beautiful terms. Sadly, that has been taken away from their country, because now we associate Syria with war and violence in general, of course unfairly. So for me, it was really important to have them portray their culture as a culture of love, of course, because for me it was important to hear the Arabic language in a context that is not the context of violence in which we're used to hearing it.
Whether you're a theater maker or just a person on the street, really truly connecting to that event in Syria from where we're sitting, it's just not possible. And until we can feel how far we are from actually having that connection and that impact and that empathy, we can't get underneath the hood of what is wrong, and we can't find our role. So that's why this play matters to me.